You say that one of your friend he has a abusive relationship. What do you mean by abusive relationship? Perhaps in my friends from the freshman to senior year, people go through the multiple of breakup. It means every breakup harm their 6 month, almost 3 to 6 months. What do you think? What are the mistake men and women are doing while choosing the partner? How can they avoid the bad relationship?
I believe that all goes back to self.
What is the suggestion? What is the advice would you like to give to someone who is going through the breakup?
I would say there's definitely a difference between boys and girls.
This conversation is very good for me because now I reflect a lot of me and the people around me. So I think this will help me to be a good partner and attract the good partner and find the good partner. Hello and welcome to Let's Grow Officials. I'm your host Meraj Husen, and today I have someone very special because she is passionate about a student and I am a student. Uh, she is passionate in helping a student not only academically but also with the mental health and other aspects of life. She takes great pride in guiding a student through many challenges they face, providing additional support and valuable resources along the way. She is truly special. Let me welcome the one and only Arlene Romas. Arlene, welcome to podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. How was your day?
It's going great. It's Friday, long weekend. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing very good. Thank you. Uh, Arlene, since you work with a student, what is the some of the challenges that you see? What are the major challenges that you see a student face during the college day?
Well, I am the program coordinator for the office of the John M. Wilson Center, and I oversee the Community Connections pre-orientation program that transitions to a 6-week mentorship program. Within that transition, I see a lot of students, just struggling to get acclimated into their campus, being away from their families for the first time, potentially having roommates for the first time, and having to share like a community bathroom. But majority of the challenges that I see students face would just be that self-discovery aspect of, who are they individually, who are they outside of their family, as a student, and do they want to be how do they want to make their mark on this campus by the time they graduate. So I see students, just facing a lot of things emotionally, mentally, physically, and just trying to find, a balance between academics, personal life, social life, and, you know, also just immerse themselves in this new journey that they're encountering.
Oh, that's interesting. Wait, you talk about the roommate. It's my senior year. I always get single room. During your college day, you were in the single room or you got the roommate?
Ooh, taking me back to my undergrad days. I would say I have siblings, so I've always shared a room with my sister. Um, but up to a certain point, I had my own room, and my first year of college, I had a triple. So I had two roommates I had to learn how to live with. So that was definitely an interesting experience. Thankfully, they both were in relationships and barely were in the room, so that worked out in my favor. So it wasn't something I had to really worry about as much. But yeah, it was definitely something I had to learn how to, you know, not just share the space, but like understand like how they like live and what cleaning looks like for them, and what does downtime look like for them, and just having to be, respectful of like each other's boundaries of when it's appropriate to be in the room and not be in the room, and just making sure we're having those raw, honest conversations, so that we can coexist together for that year.
Oh, that's interesting. Wait, Arlene. So because I never have a roommate. So what is the advantage of having the roommate?
Say that one more time.
What are the advantages of having the roommate? Is there any advantage or not?
Absolutely. Having a roommate, if it works out, that's your first friend on this campus. Someone that sees you in your most vulnerable moments because you're coming back to the room together. A lot of other advantages would just be learning, just being able to kind of learn each other. Like, this is the first interactions that you're having on campus for a lot of conversations that, you're not used to navigating, or the first time, something's being presented to you. So, within my triple, there was just like different cultures. So, like, having to learn what each culture is like and how does that show up for us in terms of like our values and our morals and who we are as an individual, um, was definitely an interesting experience. But I loved every moment of it. I think there's a lot of advantages of having a roommate. But it only works out if you're able to have honest conversations and be honest about who you are and how you live and what you need, and vice versa.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for explaining. I never have a roommate, so I will talk about like what is the advantage of not having the roommate. I,
You have your own space.
yeah, I have my own space and like yeah, I think you have been on a space and like I don't know like you feel like for example if you just want to meditate you can just sit and meditate.
Hmm.
Sometime if you just want to I don't know. Wait, what are the advantages? I think I do not have a roommate, so it's very easier for me to make my bulletin board, like my vision board, and put
Hmm.
whatever I want. Like for example, I just wrote like I want to make like I want to meet this one. I want to make like this much. So if you are alone, that's you can just put like if there is a two
Hmm.
people, you will be a little bit conscious.
Very true. Although I will say, after my first year, I made sure I had a single moving forward. I had a great experience with my roommates. I just personally love my own space. I was always very involved on campus. So, having to be social all day, being in class, and making time for homework and all my other responsibilities, I always wanted to go to my room, have my space, and not have to worry about being in someone else's energy or having to continue those interactions when I just want to disconnect, recharge, and then kind of put myself back out there in that socialization. So I kind of like the idea of being able to kind of disconnect and have that alone time without having to tell my roommate, hey, can you just leave the room for like an hour? I just need some me time, which I always felt bad for having to do that. But it was always needed because that's what I needed to kind of pour back into me so that I can show up as my best authentic self. So I just knew I needed my own room.
Oh, okay, wait. So in the beginning, you said that you had three roommates, but two of them were in relationship. So
Hmm.
they didn't used to be in the room a lot of time. Let's
Hmm.
talk about a college relationship.
Okay.
So what is how does it feel? How does it look like to be a roommate with someone who is in the college like relationship?
I actually had a very negative experience managing my roommates in their relationships. One of them were in an abusive relationship, so that was a very triggering and uncomfortable experience to have to live. Um, Kind of just like live through that, behind the scenes, and just witnessing what my roommate was going through and what she was doing to cover her bruises, but still defend her boyfriend. And then my other roommate, she was uh, an alcoholic. She had a problem with drinking. And once she starts drinking, all her emotions are projected 10 times more. And we didn't know what we were getting. So it was just always a wild card, in the weekends, because obviously at the end of the day, like, they don't spend majority of the time in the room, but that it's their room. So, when they were there, just having to be in a space where it was just negative, and very heavy. That was the first time kind of experiencing firsthand, trying to help someone out of a situation that didn't want to be helped. And I'm the type of person that I want to help. So it was just an interesting experience of just having to like kind of take a step back and just say, like, I am helping by, being there for her and just listening to her when she needed it, or just like a hug, a shoulder to cry on, and just like give her a hug when she needed that. Just providing that comfort. But I had to remind myself that that's enough, and that's all I can do right now, and that's all she needed at that moment. And no matter what I wanted to do to help her, it wasn't about me and what I could have done. It was just more of making sure that she was safe enough, and speaking to the right people I needed to speak to bring this issue to their attention. So just making sure I was very strong on my boundaries, so I wasn't taking that on and then it becoming my problem, where now my mental health isn't okay. And then with the other roommate was just more, unfortunately, like I've grown up with family and friends, just having issues with alcohol, or an addiction with alcohol. So that was something I was familiar with, and just knowing when to remove myself from the room or just not to engage, because that's not something I wanted to kind of be around. But just always making sure that she was safe, got back safe, regardless if it was from one building to the other building. Um, and just making sure, again, like I'm not taking that on for myself and just kind of leaving it there, because these were two young ladies that at that moment in time of their lives, that is what was best for them, that they thought. And that's where our beliefs kind of shifted, and I just had to kind of respect that and be okay with that.
Arlene, I'm so sorry to hear that. I think you have very hard, kind of bad roommate experience, because now I just realize how lucky I am. I never have anything today like this.
Yeah, so I just I stood there for the fall semester, switched out, and lived with my friend that spring semester, and kind of gave the roommate experience one more chance. And after that, it was just like, no, I kind of want a single room and be by myself moving forward.
No, okay. So wait, I have another question, but before that, I want to start from here. Like you say that one of your friend, she has a abusive relationship. What do you mean by abusive relationship?
So, excuse me, for this relationship, and it definitely affected the hall. We were all really close. We did a summer bridge program together, so a lot of us were really good friends. And the most difficult part was just like when they'll start arguing, you can hear that. And you can hear when he like hits her and stuff. So like, the other guys in like the floor would try to like intervene and try to break it apart. But, you know, that will only cause more problems, and that would just get reported. And we just had to go through like those proper channels, and just us as a collective just making sure that like once we hear like the arguments and stuff, like we'll report it to the RA or the RD that was on duty, and then kind of just like remove ourselves and just kind of let everyone kind of do their job in that sense. But yeah, that relationship was a lot of like mental, emotional abuse, and very much so physical. She'll disguise it as like, I just love bruises. It's okay. I just used to never have them before. And we're just like, are you listening to yourself? Are you hearing what you're saying? That's not healthy. That's not normal. But again, it to me, it just always results back to where you see yourself as a person. And until you have that self love and know your worth, you're going to continue to engage in relationships that are not good for you.
Yeah, thank you for bringing this out, like the abusive relationship and the how he was like emotionally, mentally, and physically. I think it is not only about her. It like if anyone is going through that types of bad phases of life, it hurt both boys as well as girls. And do you know, research show that on average, if someone is going through a breakup, 3 to 6 months they are in their lowest phase of the mental health, and uh, during that phases they are not good with themselves, people around them, academically, and everything. So, and like I have seen my friends from the freshman to senior year, people go through the multiple of breakup. It means every breakup harm their 6 month, almost 3 to 6 months. What do you think? What are the mistake men's and girls, men's and women's are doing while choosing the partner? How can they avoid the bad relationship?
I, excuse me, I believe that all goes back to self. Well, before it goes to self, it all goes back to how you were raised. How was love presented to you growing up? Where you always heard, seen, where your feelings validated by your parents? How did you witness your parents, through their relationship of love? Was it healthy? What does healthy look like to you? or even toxic, like it was a good relationship in terms of like healthy communication, loving, a very loving household where, we can come together and have like these conversations. And I know it's a safe place and you will see me and hear me. And we are having these conversations to understand each other and not to defend and deflect. Whereas in other cases, we have the avoidant parent, or we have parents that didn't take the time to heal their traumas, and now they're kind of breaking that on into how they're raising their children. And we're just continuously going through this generational cycle of unhealthy relationships. So, what we see growing up is what we look for in relationships. And until you take the time to heal yourself and go through your own healing journey and acknowledge your trauma and start, understanding who you are and what are your wants and needs, then we're always going to make the mistakes of choosing partners of our own trauma, because hurt people unintentionally, and we're in all different stages of our lives when it comes to our healing journey. Or even if you're not in your healing journey and you think everything is okay and how you're presenting yourself is okay, how are those relationships? Are you constantly going through the same cycle of guys, or are we making progress and learning our lessons the first time around and walking away when it's no longer healthy, so I think the bottom line to that is, we just have to sit down with ourselves and date ourselves, get to know ourselves. And we have all of these expectations for the other partner, but we always have to make sure, can I reciprocate that? If I'm saying I want communication, can I communicate when I'm not doing okay? If I say I need someone who is empathetic, am I empathetic? Do I take the time to sit down and reflect on how I am showing up? So I can't have all these expectations for a man if I don't have those expectations of myself, or if I can't, provide that. So just making sure that what you're asking for in a partner, you can also provide and reciprocate.
Yeah, wait, I like the way you talk about the self dating. I think a lot of people are missing this part and they are just jumping in relationship. I think I'm self dating right now. I think this is also one of the very good experience where you will see inside you who you are and
Mm-hmm.
what who you are and what you are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank you for bringing that one. But in the you say that okay. Uh, wait, do you mean like if someone has like someone grew up with a parent where their relationship was very good, there is a high chance that the kid will also have a good relationship?
Absolutely, because I feel like the parents already put a standard, an expectation. So how you see, your mother being loved and how a man shows up for your mother, that's how you're mirroring what you see. So if you see your father acting a certain way when it comes to your mother, you're going to mimic that. So if you see, the father, you know, helping around the house and, taking care of his wife mentally, emotionally, physically, and just showing up the way he needs to, then as a son that's watching that is going to mirror that and make sure that like he finds that in a partner of like, or not find that, I should say, like he's going to make sure he has those qualities within himself because he see that within his father. So he had a good mentor growing up to show him how to love and respect women, versus someone who probably didn't have a good example.
Yeah, this is so true. I totally agree because I, while I grew up, I also see the whose parents were in good relationship. The kids, there is a high chance that the kids also have a good relationship. Okay, so this is like good situation. Like if someone grow up, that is like that is one of the lucky situation, lucky condition where someone grow up. But let's talk about like what, because that is not in our control. Who will be our partner? That is not in our control. Give me the answer of like if someone grew up with a bad parents relationship, what they should do.
That's a good question. I think it really results back to you because at some point, like our parents are responsible for raising us. but we're also responsible for our own healing journey moving forward. So what happens in childhood, you know, we are under the protection of our parents and safety. Now, once we grow up, whatever that looks like, now we're in control and responsible for that moving forward. So if you don't have a good example at home, then it can be something where you take the time to learn who you are. And I guess it goes right back to that self dating, where it's just like take yourself on dates, enjoy your own company. What do you love to do? What are your hobbies? What are your needs and wants? And once you have a better understanding of yourself and you're pouring back into you and you have that self love and in that respect for you, then you are going to search for that for someone else. So if you're doing your healing journey, you're going to want somebody that's in the same mental capacity as you, because if not, then one is going to outgrow the other and eventually drift apart if we're not trying to come together as partnership. But I guess it just varies when it comes to, you know, the household and, you know, the individual themselves, because sometimes you cannot have a good example at home and the child can say nope, that's not the lifestyle I want, and do something and go the complete different opposite, sorry, words got hard for a second. Go into the opposite direction and have a great life for themselves because they didn't want the lifestyle that they seen growing up, or the kid can see that and say this is great, and kind of mirror what they've seen growing up. So it kind of could go both ways in that sense. But that's why I always say, like, you should just always take care of yourself and heal what you need to heal and have a better grips of who you are.
Yeah, this is a beautiful experience if someone is dating him or herself. And I think this is also one of the major component of healing or what you have gone through. What do you think? Why people are like this is such a beautiful things and anyone can do. Like you do not need, like for example, partner for partnership you need second people to do the partnership. But for self date you do not need even the second person or third person. Why people are not doing the self dating? Why people are scared? Why people are not taking the step in this journey?
I pers- for I personally believe a lot of us are scared to sit with ourselves
Ourselves,
and
yeah.
face ourselves. Like, we do not tell ourselves the truth. And I don't understand why. I think that once we sit down and just have those raw, honest conversations with ourselves and just like not have any excuses, not think about someone else's feelings, what are you feeling? What do you need? Can make the difference. And I think a lot of the issue is like we want to just run away from our problems instead of facing our problems. So we tend to have these unhealthy habits of distraction, and that can lead to, you know, substance abuse, alcohol abuse, and just building unhealthy relationships around you and just creating this environment that's not going to do you any good. So once we can sit down and say, you know what, this, I went through this, yes, and own it, embrace it. We are imperfect human beings. We're not made to be perfect. We're going to make mistakes. And I think we just get so stuck on that perfectionism and putting on a mask and making everyone around us see that we good, we got it together, and you know, we dress it up real good, but behind the scenes we just forget that okay, we're not in front of a crowd, we're with ourselves. So, you know, what does that look like in my day to day behind, you know, closed doors? If I'm making any sense right now.
Yeah, wait, this is a very important things that you brought, like self conversation. What is self conversation like? Okay, explain like what is self conversation and how you talk with yourself. For example, I will say myself. So when I am talking to myself, so I'm very lucky that I have a single room, so that is like good space. When I'm talking with myself, uh, I always take a piece of paper and write whatever I am going through.
Mm-hmm.
Then whatever just come to my mind, I write everything. Then I just sit and then see, wait, is this the really a problem, or is this what is really bothering me? Then I write like what are the other things that I can do, what is in my control, what is not in my control, and then I act on it. How do you talk to yourself?
Ooh, we've come a long way. I would say before my healing journey, I used to just talk down on myself because I've had this I need to be perfect, or I'm just a very perfectionist. And, when I present myself in front of everyone, it's just like, okay, this is my to-do list. This is what I need to do. And if I make a mistake, even if you don't know I made a mistake, or I didn't complete anything that I wanted to, or I'm having a tough time, it's just like I'm just tearing myself apart. It's just like I wasn't speaking to myself in a healthy manner. But through my, self discovery and my healing journey, all that changed to self affirmations and telling myself every day, like, okay, today is going to be another beautiful day. We are, this is what the day looks like. And if we are having a moment, let me embrace that moment, give myself time to, process what that was and then kind of get back into it. So, like, I just always like to talk positive to myself. And once like those negative thoughts kind of come into play, like I try to stop myself right then and there in my tracks. Prayer helps a lot. So like just like praying and just being able to kind of take off the load. In that sense, I journal. So I have like a gratitude journal. I have a therapist that, grounds me in knowing that like, okay, like I need to, shift my mindset right now because I am not in an okay space. And just having affirmations around, especially like in my phone, like I have little quotes, throughout the day that pop up in my phone to just kind of remind me, you're okay. It's just a moment. We're going to be fine. And yeah, just making sure that I try to be as positive as I can be in a navigating in a negative world. So I just try not to kind of immerse myself into that mindset of just, being negative and not wanting more.
Yeah, that is great. And do you know, like you said about like affirmation, gratitude, do you know, even though I was reading a research paper, it said that the people who are more grateful for the things, there are a lot of good things happen in their life.
Yes.
Yeah, so I also like, oh wait, even in the morning when I wake up, first I do my prayer and then I do some say, gratitude and
Oh yeah.
that is,
It's the best thing in the world. You just start off so peaceful, like so at ease, so grounded, and I don't know. I feel like once I gave myself a routine in the morning instead of just like getting up to rush out the door, just giving myself enough time to have a morning routine, and just taking some time to do my prayer, have my gratitude journal complete for the morning, and just kind of just brace myself. What does my day look like? What can I do to make sure that I am taking care of myself as well and not just so caught up in all of my responsibilities, and just making sure that I give myself breaks throughout the day as well. So, like, if that's like 5-10 minutes in between meetings, or if that's going for a quick walk because I've just been sitting down for so long, and just like little things like that throughout the day that just makes a difference. But I have to see that and I have to kind of acknowledge that before I start my day.
yeah,
So,
that's interesting. And I like the one you say that like in your phone, just
mhm.
sometime gratitude just pops up. Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah,
Instead of just some random notification, why don't we have some good notification? I like it. I think I'm going to learn this one.
I will show you the
Oh,
app
thank
later.
you. That's interesting. Oh, that is like I think instead of other things, why don't we pops up something good? Oh, perfect. I like it. Okay, so I want to go back to our initial conversation. We were talking about the college relationship,
Mhm.
and uh, like we talk about like how the college bad relationship impact the life inside, outside, with the social circle and everywhere. What are the things one should consider while choosing a partner, based on your experience?
I think when choosing a partner, you have to know what your values and beliefs are, and stay true to that. So when you are searching for a partner that aligns with you in that sense, of your cores and your values, and also where you at in your journey. Are we, going the spiritual route and seeking God? Are we, you know, in our healing journey, and what does that look like? Is that therapy? Is that mentors? How do you want to navigate that space? Or is that just us winging it and just taking it one day at a time? Um, it just at the end of the day, it just kind of results back to you. What do you want? What are you looking for? And just always remembering the same way you have these expectations in a relationship, just make sure that you have those expectations for yourself and you meet those needs as well. So it's just like, so again, it's like if you're saying, I need somebody who is financially stable, are you financially stable? And what does that look like for you? If you need somebody with great communication, can you communicate when you're not okay? And what does that style look like for you? If you need somebody who, can hold space for you when you're not well, or, um, I can go on with many examples, but the point is, it's just making sure that what we are looking for in a relationship, we have those qualities within ourselves. And we know who we are, so that once we're having these conversations, and exploring our options of, who we want as a partner, keeping it as that. Have questions, ask questions. Like, don't be shy to not ask those uncomfortable questions. Like, when you're dating, that's when you need to. Like, don't worry about all the fun. Don't worry about, oh my God, he took me here, or she did this for me. And it's like, yeah, those are great. But who are they? How are they when they're upset, when, they have everything, when they don't have everything? How are they in between? How do they treat others? Do you like the way they treat others? I feel like a lot of that is most important, and that's missed nowadays. I think now everyone wants to catch a vibe and, just kind of be in this new era of just doing whatever social media says for some reason, and just trying to keep up with a certain image instead of being true to who you are and what you want. We're just following the crowd of like, well, this is what dating looks like now. This is just what it is, and it's just, there's so much more to that.
Yeah, wait. So let me represent the boy. So a lot
Okay.
of men. So do you know? Even though I was reading a book, and there said that, I think this was very catchy. So I will just quote that one. So man, when a man see a girl at daytime, like right now around 10 a.m., so he will rate the suppose girls 5 out of 10. Like, okay, so for 5 out of 10, like these are the 5 things, 10, like there are 10 of the things that a man was looking in a girl. But during the this time, like 10 a.m., he rate like, okay, she's matching 6 out of 10. When the time goes at night, like when it is like 8 p.m., he will rate 7 out of 10. When it is like 10 p.m., so he will rate like 8 out of 10. When it is like 12, he might rate 10 out of 10. But this do not go with the girls. So the book say that for the man, very important to write what are the things you really look in the partner, so that whenever you are making decision, you will read that you are not changing because of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So this happen in the man. What do you think? Like, so I think for this, I think for the all the man, they should like list down what are the things they are really looking the partner. So in order to make decision, they will not
Mm-hmm.
distracted with the time. But I wanted to ask, like, you say that, like for example, if I want to talk clearly, if I want my partner to talk clearly, am I ready to talk clearly or not?
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think about the people who in this are like, if there is a opposite poles attract, if someone who has an opposite character of you, that bondings go well? Is this a myth, or what do you think about this?
I definitely believe opposite attracts, and we have to understand that like we were all raised differently, and we have to come together to understand each other's environments and what that looked like growing up, and how can we come together and meet each other in the middle and make those compromises of what will work for each other. So again, you know, some household we eat at the dinner table and we praise each other and acknowledge all the good things and what we've been doing. In other household, they just eat at the dinner table, or they don't eat at the dinner table, I should say, and they kind of just eat on their own and do their own thing. So let's say we bring those two worlds together. One expects dinner time for that to kind of be that quality time to sit down and just like acknowledge and appreciate one another, versus the other one's just like, I'm gonna sit behind, I'm gonna sit on the couch and watch TV and have dinner, right? Because that's normal for him or her, and vice versa for the other scenario. So just again, it's just having those conversations with your potential partner, just saying, like, what was it like growing up? What was your past relationships like? Why weren't they successful? Did y'all outgrow each other? What are things that you're still working on, or what were challenges that you face in that relationship? And being okay and comfortable to ask those questions and be ready to receive those answers, because I think a lot of the time we ask these questions but we're never prepared for what we're going to get as an answer. And trying to just check your emotions when we have those conversations. If it's becoming difficult to continue a conversation about our needs and wants and how we can compromise of getting to know one another, then pin it. We don't need to finish the conversation right then and there. It's getting too heated. Now we're not listening to each other. We're just defending. We're listening to defend instead of listening to understand. And I think that's a lot of the issues a lot of the time, because we let our emotions get the best of us instead of having a conversation clear minded and being able to be more logical. Um, so yeah,
I
I
like
think
it.
I answered your question.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, okay. I will ask the same question a little bit in different way. So at this phase of life, for example, as a boy, for example, if you ask me, hey, what are the things so my question is like, what are the things you, what are the suggestion you will, what is the piece of advice you will give to me if I'm looking if I'm looking for a partner? For example, as a boy, I will say that if there is a girl, and I will say that in order to look for a boy's partner, I think you should see the boys who how he react when he is having the negative emotion. How the You should see the boy in the scenario when you say no and how he react. You should see the boy how he react when he do not have any money in his pocket. You should see the boy. You should be with the boy. You should travel at least like you should have a couple of day travel with the boy before deciding what is his character and how he look like. You should know that how is the boy relationship with his parents and his family member. If you know like these and some other more things, then you know that boy. What are the things that you will suggest me if I'm looking for a partner? What are the scenario? What are the things that I need to know about the girl? Then I will know. Oh, I know this girl.
I will ask, what qualities are you looking for? So my focus would be you first. And I would just keep asking you questions. So what qualities are you looking for in a partner?
A partner? Oh, okay. This is the conversation. Okay. I think my partner should be like she should be loyal.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm very passionate about the kids, so my partner should be someone who is also not now, but in the long term, she want a kid. Um, my partner should be like very respectful for me and the people around her, because she is a real when she is people around her. If she is not respectful for the people, it means in the long run she will not be respectful respectful to me. uh my partner should be like competitive in the sense like she should be seeking for better version of herself in every moment, because I am very competitive. I want my better version of myself. uh my partner should be wait, what are the other things?
It's making you think, right?
Yeah, this is like a hard question. Okay, so these are the things that I think my partner should have.
So when you're looking for a woman, then those are the qualities you're looking for. So that can be shifted into questions or just an environment of what you do. So if you find someone who catches your attention, then bring her into settings like that. So like if you want to see how she is, around others and how she comes off and how respectful she is, then be in social settings. How is she with waitresses or in different social settings? And I think just being able to get creative when you do dates. Not the typical, let's go to dinner, let's go to the movies, and then call it a day, because you're not really gaining um, a lot in those dates. I think, going on hikes, going to the park or picnic, something where it forces y'all to have intimate conversations, but also can see each other in different lights, and in different scenarios. So for you, that would be more like, okay, let's go to the arcade, or I don't know, something more low key, more intimate for just you two to kind of just have those conversations so you can see what kind of quality she has. But I think a lot of the time is just how a woman presents herself. I feel like that tells you enough right there. How is she carrying? How, when she walks into the room, how does she gauges the room? How is she presenting herself? How is she acknowledging everyone and communicating with everyone? And I think a lot of the time that's what catches our eyes. And then just start having conversations and going from there. I think sometimes we need to go into these things like, yes, having the expectation, but trying to stay out of our heads, because we go into this with a certain mindset and we're blocking a lot of what's happened, a lot of the reality of what's happening in front of us, because we're in our delusion now. So because we're too busy in our heads thinking about our checklist, we're missing out on what is being presented to us. So we're not really engaging the way we need to engage. And just making sure you have good, you're actively listening, and just making sure that you're being true to yourself in those situations, and you're not making excuses because you just are fascinated by the attraction and not the mind.
That's interesting. Okay, thank you. Okay, perfect. Thank you for giving the overview. Like, how can we see how can we see someone with the different lenses, not the one? Uh, okay, we are almost at the end of the conversation, but like before going, I will ask. I want to ask this question. Do you know, like, the way the same places where we start the conversation, like during the breakup, people go with these emotional lows. They are going through the hard part of their life, and during that phases, a lot of boys, because I know a lot of boys, is like they ask the help from the friend. The friend also don't know because he is also in the same phases of life. Then people are using a lot of the social media content, and that is algorithm based. What is the suggestion, what is the advice would you like to give to the student who is going, to someone who is going through the breakup?
I would say there's definitely a difference between boys and girls. We were raised differently. I feel like us girls, we've always been raised to talk about our feelings and, be just emotional and just really be self aware of ourselves in that sense. Guys aren't raised to express themselves. They're raised to be the provider, take care of the household, versus we are raised to be more the emotional creatures, and kind of um, make the house a home, and raise the children and so on and so forth. So um, we have to kind of take that into account. Guys are now, I feel like we're finally in a good space in 2025 where we can talk about mental health, and having that self-awareness when it comes to guys' mental health, which is really great. um, and I say that to say that when it comes to breakups, it's a lot harder on the guys because they don't talk about their feelings. I don't see brotherhood anymore. And sisterhood is not the same anymore, but I definitely do not see brotherhood anymore. I think that, a lot of the guys are just masking their feelings and just kind of avoiding them altogether. And that's why guys and girls are a lot different when it comes to breakups, where guys would just try to distract themselves. They don't want to think about it. And they'll do anything and everything to just kind of, not think about the breakup or what they're feeling, because they don't know how to sit with those emotions and how to process that properly. Versus a girl, I think that in relationships, a lot of the time the female will still be in the relationship, but they're mentally checked out. So they've already had time to kind of break up with you mentally and emotionally, but they're still physically there. So once it's official, the detachment between both, it's a little bit not a detachment, wrong word, but the way they handle it and manage it is a lot differently, because the female already had the time to kind of what they were already withdrawing, and they were already grieving the relationship and kind of going through that hurt um, with the man in front of them. And the guys a lot of the time don't see when their girlfriends check out, and because she stops nagging or she stops being annoying or whatever the case may be to them, and that's when they lost their girlfriend, and they think everything's okay, but emotionally and mentally she's not there anymore. So and we have our girlfriends, so we can always call our friends and say, like, this is the situation, versus the guys who's just like, yeah, I broke up with my girl, and they're ready to go get a drink and go hang out with the guys and go do what they do. And they don't, it's different conversations. It's handled a lot differently. I think when you're trying to be a good friend and be there for, you know, for your friend that it's heartbroken, I think the best thing that we can do in those moments is just to be a listening ear, allow them, give them the space to express themselves and kind of let it all out, and make sure that it is a safe space so that they can be vulnerable, and keep it there. Like, don't spread it. And I think that's a lot of the issues why a lot of the guys don't open up either. It's just they do, and then something happens and it gets stuff gets thrown back into their face, so it just doesn't make them feel comfortable or safe to say, like, this is what I'm going through. So when they do that, make sure that you can take on that load and you're in the right mental space to have that conversation, and just be as supportive as you can be. And it's as simple as asking, what do you need from me? Do you need me to give you an opinion, my advice, or do you want me to just listen? And allowing them to tell you what they need in that moment so you can show up the right way for them.
Yeah, thank you. Wait, so I just relate this conversation. In the beginning, you said that when you had a roommate, she was having hard time, then you used to give and hug, you used to talk. This is also in the course, like the way you said, like in the boys, even though someone is going through a breakup, the maximum conversation is forget about that girl. She was not good, this and that. But no one talk about the emotion. Boys never talk about breakup. So even the research show that boys moved, like it take years for a boys to heal out in comparison to the girls. Girls heal out easily. So wait, so in this time you say that okay, this is 2025, we have opportunity to talk. What is the message for? Still, I know a lot of my friend, they go through breakup, they don't show that they are having pain, but boys also go through the pain.
Of
They do not
course.
talk about like heartbreak up. They do not talk about, but girls on the other hand they talk about like beginning to end, and boys is also scared of that one. What is the message? What do you want to say about the boy, like who, like me, my friend, who after breakup do not want to talk because it feel like it will show you strong. But you know, also there is one more point. Why it is always the society has put in a way that it is the boy's responsibility to keep the relationship ahead, because if it is breakup, no one talk about the girl, so everyone say it should be like the boy's problem.
Yes, okay, so trying to answer the first part of your question, again, that all goes into, your environment growing up. So unfortunately, a lot of the time we are growing up without a father. So a lot of the guys aren't having that male example, or a positive male example of teaching them, you know, the self discipline, the how to be a man, and not be a man and not express yourself. Like, be a man, and you can be vulnerable, you can cry, you can talk about your feelings, and what does that look like, and just like how you show up for others and how you show up for you. So I think, like, a lot of the guys don't have good self-care routines or know what to do for a self-care routine, because to them it's just, well, I have to work, get the money, and provide, where it's just like there's so much more to you than just that. And I feel like we're finally, in a period where we are starting to raise, boys and girls a lot differently, where we're allowing the boys to be more expressive and be more vulnerable. And that's scary for someone that it's not used to that or hasn't seen that for many generations. So you always get the backlash of everyone else who's just like, oh, stop crying, you're a boy, you're supposed to man up. And it's like, don't do that. We're not teaching them that. So just seeing the different generations kind of just, taking it in of just like how, what would be best moving forward, of just like how to raise your child in that sense. But because we don't have a good example or, father figures in the household, that definitely bleeds into just like how we show up, how you show up as a young man. So in that relationship, let's say if the absent father or the father that was there but didn't teach you anything, then it'll be one of those things where you're just going to withdraw, and whatever habits that you've seen growing up are going to be the habits that you obtain unconsciously, because that's what you're mimicking. That's all you know. That's what you've seen growing up. So that's your normal. Um, and a lot of the time, you can acknowledge that what the parent is doing is wrong, but you can never acknowledge what you're doing because you refuse to, or you're just blinded by your own behavior because you're just too busy pointing the finger at the one that, at the parent that should have taught you. But you can't see you're pointing one, but there's three pointing back at you. So you're not acknowledging your role and taking that accountability for yourself, because you're just saying, well, my father, da 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 da. It's just like, that's okay. I understand. I hear you. But now you're an adult, and now you're responsible to heal now, so that you don't repeat those patterns and we're not continuing those generational cycles. So I think that's where the difference is between like the man and the female, where like females tend to seek more of that help and will be quick to go to therapy, have these conversations with their girlfriends, or seek those mentorship opportunities. And guys don't do that. It's video games, it's hanging out with the guys, it's, just kind of
Working out.
working out. Yeah. And that's their version of kind of being expressive without having to use the words. So when it's time to sit down and have these conversations, they don't know what to say, or they don't know how to have a conversation because it's all new to them. So going through a breakup is going to be hard for a guy, and it's harder for a guy because and it's true to what they say, a guy can't take the same hurt as a woman, because guys are guys are not expressive enough. Guys don't want to heal properly. They just want to avoid and shove that in the corner and just numb themselves. Not all of them. So I do appreciate the guys that take the time to heal and embrace who they are and break those generational cycles, and want better for themselves. But majority of it is just being too scared to face yourself and your problems that you've buried so long ago that you forgot that you've gone through.
Wait, so this is very interesting thing you brought, and you said a lot of time like we learn from someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, for girls, they learn from your mom. The boys, they like mostly they should learn from their father.
Mm-hmm.
Let me put my scenario. My conversation with my father is never more than 1 minute. So first, whenever I call, even back at the home, this was the conversation. Whenever I call, I greet him, he greet me, and then I said, how are you? How is life? No, even not love. How are you? Good. How is family? Good. This is the conversation between me and my father. Like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I have a little bit more conversation with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So it means my sources of knowledge should be my father, but I'm not looking to my father because I do not have that conversation. How I can learn these all the things. So what should be like my sources of knowledge? What should be like someone whom I can see and mimic them? What should be mine?
For you, you will mimic your mom. You would look into the qualities that you love about your mom, and you would look into that in a woman. Like you said, you have very short conversations with your father, one word answers, and then that's great. With your mom, she's asking you those questions. She wants to know how you're doing. How was your day? What did you do? And be more engaged in that sense. So when you're looking for a partner, you're gonna want someone who kind of caters into to you in that sense, because that's what you know and what you're familiar with, and that's what you love because that's what your mom had taught you and how she loves you. So you're gonna want someone who shows up for you and loves you in some capacity in that way. That's why, yeah, I'll just leave it like that.
Oh, okay. This is wait. I never think like that. Yeah, obviously, like if someone who is like acting my father in comparison to my mother, I think I will be more attracted to my mom because whatever she do, I think I like. I just realized this one. I never thought like that one.
But also keep this in mind. I'll throw in another perspective. So you will look into those qualities for your mom, but you would still show up how your dad shows up until you learn how to properly have those ongoing conversations, or not ongoing, let me just say more meaningful conversations with other men, or other friends that you have in your life, and not just keep it in the basic, hey, how you doing? I'm good, great, and then that was just a check-in. No, when's the last time you sat down and checked in with your guy friend and really
Never.
asked? There you go.
Like,
So
wait,
because
wait. And
because what are you used to? You're used to, hi, how you doing? You're good, good, and then you're going to keep it moving. So you don't take the time to have those conversations with your friends because your dad modeled it as, okay, my son is good. He told me he's good. That's all I need to know. Versus your mom goes, okay, but what does good mean? Let's break that down. So now as a man, you show up and you're having quick conversations with your other friends. It's hi, how you doing? You're good. That's it.
wow, this is amazing. Wait, now. Okay, this is what I see in myself. No, now I see where is my problem. Yeah, with my friends, I just say, hey, how are you? What's up, bro? How are you doing? I think that is the maximum conversation we have.
And now, what are those conversations with your girlfriends?
Like, how I
They're
do? What did you do? What happened? Wait, why this happened? Why this happened? What
you're
did you
more
do?
engaged with your female friends in conversation than with your male friends. You see the difference?
So wait, so wait, so I think this should go. It means that I will be who will be my partner. I will be like very engaged with her. So this is the good thing, or I should also engage with my like boys friends. What does it mean? What does it tell about me in the relationship?
Say that one more time.
Okay, so right now I am very surface with like my boys friends. But when someone is like my girlfriend, I ask a very detailed question the way my mom asked. What does it tell about me, and what are the things I need to improve to make the good relationship, to be a good partner?
I think that's just a theme for like all guys. I think guys just literally just stick to the basic conversations of just like, if it's not just, hey, how you doing? Did you get the game? Did you just get that new 2K game? And then we're talking about a game, or we're talking about a football game. And then that's it. Like, that's it for conversation. The guys only talk about
What?
games, girls. Um, yeah, it's it's very, it's just generic for all the guys all around. It's the same conversation. Like, I I even with students, when I'm engaging with students, it always goes back to the gym, the any games that just came out, um, females and what they're attracted to and how they engage in those conversations, or yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Oh, wait, I totally agree. This was a question. Yeah, we just talk about the games. What does the girls talk about?
We talk about everything. We talk about everything. We say, okay, and depending how long it's been since we were able to talk with our girlfriends, because, life just be lifing. So I would say, like, once we're able to catch up, we talk about, where we last left off, and here are the new updates. This is what I got going on, and this is what's new, and this is what I'm working on. And then, we shift it to what you got going on and what's happening and when are we going to hang out. And then the conversations go into so many different avenues that hours go by and we're just like, oh my God, like I gotta go, or we gotta end this conversation right here. We'll pick it up somewhere else. Whereas, like, I feel like guys are just like quick.
Yeah, we just talk about what. No, there is no how I like. Wait, so when we are talking about the conversation, let me ask one thing because I'm boys. You are talking about the girls. So let's figure out this one. What are the things? What are the major mistake boys do while doing the conversation with girl? Let me say like this, because last time one of my friend came and she had wait she said that, okay, this is the exact scenario. She said that we talk about like how are you doing, and she said that, okay, I went bed very late. What did I do? That was my mistake, because when I was reflecting, I realized I start giving the answer. Like I start giving like, what should you do? How can you go bed early? And this I was giving solution. But later I realized I think she do not need solutions. She don't want to be here. What are the mistake boys do?
That exactly. You just answered your question. So guys function off logic and forget that females function off emotions. Like sometimes we just don't want the solution right away. Can you just give us the space and hear us out and just let us be dramatic? Let us be crybabies. Just let us have the space to be what we need to be in that moment, to let it out. And then once we do that and we're done being emotional creatures, then give us the logic. But guys, as soon as we say something is wrong, instead of listening, they are ready to solve the problem. And 9 times out of 10, I don't need you to solve the problem, or that doesn't need to happen. I'm just being dramatic right now. I need a moment, and that's all I need right now. And I think, but again, it comes within that communication style of just like, what is it that you need versus guys need to learn how to communicate and girls need to learn how to communicate better. So we preach, we want communication, and this is what communication is like. But the moment we're not okay, communication's out the window.
Okay.
Where guys are just like, oh no, this is what you said you wanted. Let's have this conversation. And then now it's just like this strong boundary of like, we're going to have this conversation right now. And it's like, that is not how we should do it. It should just be like, okay, let's give each other that space to process, then come together and have a conversation so we're both level headed. But the majority of the time, one of the biggest mistakes I see is just, I don't need you to solve my problems in the moment, or I'm not looking for a solution. I just want to complain, or I just want to be dramatic, or I just need the space to cry.
Wait, I totally agree with you. I just realized and learned these things like, so there is also big boys problem. For example, if you say there is a some problem, and when I hear, and if I'm not able to solve it, feel like I'm a failure. Like this is the
Mm-hmm.
boys problem, that they, like if someone said something, it is in our mind that we need to solve this problem
Mm-hmm.
first, so we just go with the logic, how can we solve the problem? We are not ready to hear more what happened, just solve this problem. Secondly, if I'm not able to solve it, feel like I'm a kind of loser, I'm like not as strong enough to solve a hard problem. So but later I realized she's not looking for the answer, and see, if you are not solving, it doesn't mean you are a loser.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the couple things I realized. What are the other things boys, what are the other mistake boys do in the conversation, or what are the other things that you see boys are messing up?
They withdraw. So, because we're emotional creatures and we like to talk about our emotions, a lot of the times guys withdraw and stop listening. They disconnect from the conversation. So, now and not only are you disconnected from the conversation, but you are also creating a space where you're telling your partner or your friend you don't care, or at least that's how it comes off, instead of just saying I don't know how to respond to this right now and being honest within that emotion, or just saying I am not in the headspace to kind of take this on. I didn't know this was going to be the duration of the conversation, or just something along the lines in that sense. But I think a lot of the time guys just withdraw a lot because we just are too emotional or too sensitive, and that's too much for y'all to handle if that's not something you're used to. So I think it's just interesting, watching guys kind of navigate that. But as females, because we're so accustomed to that, it's just like, I need you to be there for me emotionally. Like, I don't want to be emotionally homeless. If I'm calling you my partner, I'm calling you my friend, I want to pick up the phone, or I want you in front of me, and I need you to listen to me. And if you don't have anything to say because you don't know how to respond, then just say that. But not saying anything or disconnecting is only going to make her feel like what she just said doesn't matter. And moving forward, she's not going to come to you. So you are blocking that intimate, connection between the two of you, because now it's just this awkward silence, or you're on your phone and you're not really like engaged in the conversation. Um and it's just like, or 9 times out of 10 the female's getting cut off. where like she can't finish talking because the guy's interrupting her, or change the conversation to something else, or um it's just like like, okay, you're done, okay, and then kind of just leaves it like that, where it's just like, this is where the disconnect is, and this is where you find her to be annoying or too emotional or too sensitive, because now instead of coming to you right away when something happens, she's bottling everything up because she already knows you're either going to get defensive, you're either not going to listen, or you don't care because that's how you've been showing up. And once she explodes, it to you is going to be out of nowhere. Where's this coming from? Why didn't you talk to me? But it's like, can I talk to you? Because when I tried to talk to you, you weren't listening to me. You weren't seeing me for what I was saying or how I was feeling. And you don't know how to do a check in after. So if you think it's a one done conversation if she's not doing well mentally, and it's no, your mental health doesn't go away in one day just because you had one conversation, or just because you see her laughing in the next like 5 minutes doesn't mean the problems disappeared. It's still very much there, but we still have to go on with our days. We can't just be stuck and hibernate. So guys tend to withdraw really quickly, and it's just that one conversation thing that gets done, where instead of like the next day, like, hey, how are you doing today? Is today a little easier for you? You don't get that from the guy. At least not, you know,
Yeah, no, no,
it's
no, no.
not
I agree. I
normal.
agree. I agree.
Whereas you go to your girlfriend and you say, this is what I'm going through, and what are your girlfriends doing? They're texting you every day, checking in to see how you're doing. And if it's not every day, it's like every other day. Or a quick phone call, hey, I only got 10 minutes, how we're doing today. Whereas we're looking for a partner that doesn't communicate like that, or is in that level to be intimate with you emotionally. In that sense, you feel abandoned in the relationship, because now instead of being able to call your partner first, depending on how he handled that situation, you are either holding in on those emotions and navigating that by yourself, and now you're seeking advice elsewhere instead of seeking it where it should be, your partner.
Okay, wait. So I like this conversation. Thank you for making a lot of things clear. So you said that okay, boys need to do this, this, this. Why don't we think? Let's flip the coin. Let's flip the coin. So this is the boys' nature. What are the things girls can do?
Oh, so much more.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Let's
feel
talk
like,
about that one as well.
yes, and
Why only boys need to do everything? Like,
oh, absolutely not. And I think that's always a misconception because, again, okay, before I answer your question, I
yeah,
have to say this because I just don't want to be an advocate for, the girls. I do believe that we are living in a time that is difficult to date. So we have social media. Social media definitely blew up, and now we have all of these the way a relationship should be portrayed, and we have social media telling us one thing, and the grass is greener on the other side, or you have all of these other options and situationships and flings, and cheating became a norm, or like being loyal and respectful and just the foundation for a relationship becomes praised when someone is actually loyal to you, and it's like, oh my god, at least I didn't cheat. And it's like, that you said you wanted to be in a relationship. I would hope not. You said like what comes with the relationship is the loyalty, the respect, and the communication, and all things of the sort. That's the foundation. Now we need to figure out what that looks like for us so we can build on that. Whereas like now we're stuck on the foundation and we're looking for the bare minimum of, is this man respectful? Is this woman respectful? Are they loyal? Or is these other options? Or now we have cyber micro cheating, where like now you're on social media and you're in a relationship and you're being lustful of other men and women, and you're in a relationship where it's just like, why are you liking and following and engaging in inappropriate conversations when you have a partner? And that's normal now. And it's like, you're still cheating. Just because you didn't end up in the bedroom doesn't mean it's not going to get there. How do you think it gets to the bedroom? It starts with those sneaky text messages and deleting and, just like not being a loyal partner. So you're saying, I'm in a relationship, but you know how to be loyal to your partner in their face, but behind their back on social media, you act very much so single. And that goes for both genders. You know what I mean? I feel like social media had shifted how we view relationships and how we present ourselves and how we should come together in partnership when it comes to relationships. So to come back to, I just had to say that
Yeah,
to
yeah.
answer your question. So now answering your question, I would say, girls can do a lot better by just being honest. I think that they are so focused on wanting to blame everything on the guy. Like I said, you're pointing a finger at one, but there's three pointing back. It takes two to ruin a relationship. It doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, when you stop appreciating your partner and you stop doing the little things and you stop showing up the way you used to show up in the beginning when we were chasing each other to make sure we can get in a relationship, once you get comfortable, you stop doing all of these things because you already got your partner. You should continue chasing them even though you have them. Why? Because they're your partner, and we are living in a world where temptation is everywhere, and you could be easily distracted and ruin what you have for 2 seconds of fun.
Okay.
So for me, I would say for females, we can't sit here and say we want to communicate better, um, we want X, Y, and Z, but you can't provide X, Y, and Z. Like, you can't expect a man to be a provider, but you haven't done anything in the relationship to provide either. Where it's just like you expect a man to pay for everything. And it's like, are you also paying for it? Are you dating him or is he just dating you?
Okay.
Where it's just like, when's the last time you took your man out on a date? When's the last time you bought your man something or took care of him in that sense? Where it's just like girls become so selfish and it's like me, 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 me. And it's just like, okay, what about him? You wanted him too, right? So how do you keep him? And it's like, if you want him to only have eyes on you and focus on you, then you also need to make sure you're showing up for your partner and saying, I am here. And what does that look like? And you can't want your partner to open up to you and then throw everything back in their face. It's already hard for guys to be vulnerable and talk about their emotions. And the moment they do, just because you're on bad terms, it's not okay to flip that and throw it back in their face. That's not fair. They shared that, you know, in a safe space. That was when he was vulnerable. That shouldn't be thrown back. Whereas if you guys are in a disagreement, then let it be just that disagreement. But don't throw what was once told you in, in private and confined and use that as ammunition and throw that back. I think a lot of the time females are stuck with the idea of like, this is what I want. And because they feel like they're doing that, they don't need to do anything more. And it's like, no, you can show up so much better. And that can go with the attitude. I feel like females are a lot more abusive than they want to say. Like, if a guy is joking with them or something, girls are so quick to hit you. Why? Why are you putting your hands on him? Or just, are just always so disrespectful and, whenever they're upset or whatever, where it's just like you have to model the behavior you want in return. So if you are being disrespectful, how do you expect him to, respect you? If you are, you're not communicating, you're shutting down, how do you expect him to communicate with you? If you aren't, showing up the way you would want him to show up for you, like, how do you think this relationship is going to go moving forward? I think a lot of the time we need to, stop trying to put blame on someone else and take that accountability. And I think that's a lot of the issues with ourselves now, with everyone nowadays. Like, no one wants to take accountability for the part that they play. And then also, when you take accountability, actually put that into action. Don't just say that. You can say a lot of things, but your actions will always prove if your words are what you need or not. So you can't sit here and say, I'm sorry, and continue that behavior. Then you're not sorry. You don't care about how you are hurting the other person's feelings because you're still being selfish. And you're telling them, I don't care, I'm gonna still do what I want to do. So then why we're in this relationship? You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
feel like we just always overlook the red flags and we always betray ourselves to try to be too understanding or, try to make this work instead of walking away when it's time to walk away and remaining in your power, in your self-worth, and reminding yourself that I have to love me more now because the way you're loving me isn't what I need or how I want it, because you can't do that. um I know I went in a tangent. I don't know if I answered your question fully.
I'm so happy you talk about the girl's perspective. This is so true because a lot of time we see that when they are in relationship they put everything on the boys, like boys need to continue, boys need to do this. It should be like mutual partnership. Yeah.
Yes, and that's not a thing anymore. And it's so frustrating to see too, because it's like we can't have these conversations and then expect the guys to make all of these changes and you're not making any. Like I've come across, various like, I, I've seen different relationships and had different conversations with my friends, and just having to be honest with them and just say like, okay, but you were just so rude. Like what just came out of your mouth was foul. That you shouldn't have said that like that. I get you're frustrated, but that's not okay. Like females always have an excuse for their behavior instead of just taking accountability. And then guys would take that accountability but would not put action into that. So they would sit here and
Okay.
say, I am sorry, you're right. Sometimes, they omit it and just be like, yep, I'm sorry, you're right, yada, 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 and will not put any of that into action. What does your sorry look like? How are you going to hold yourself accountable moving forward? And what's that plan like? And that's where the guys struggle. Females, we struggle in the sense of, I'm just going to blame you. I don't want to look at me and take that accountability because I'm always right and you're wrong. I don't know why that is a mentality in relationships. That is like a theme in all over social media of just like happy wife, happy life, or husband or whatever. Or just like, oh no, she can never be wrong. Can't tell her nothing. And it's just so sad because it's like, how are we preaching that we want a man to communicate and we want a man to show up like this and be emotionally intelligent and have all these great qualities, but you're not presenting any of those qualities in a healthy manner? If not, it's very toxic and it always in the benefit of you and it's never in the benefit of both. Where it's just like, that's where we have to check ourselves. Like, we have to remove pride and ego entering a relationship so we can have that union and come together and not feel um like and not let my own selfishness get the best of me. You know what I mean? So it's just like I have to just always take a step back, be honest, take that accountability, and be mindful, have more compassion, more empathy, patience, and grace when it comes to these relationships, because it's two different environments of you growing up coming together. Life is already difficult as it is. So you've already, going through so much. So just being able to be gentle with yourself, with your partner, and as long as you're both on the same page and working towards the same plan and, making the relationship work, people are going to hurt you regardless. They're going to hurt your feelings. They're going to make mistakes. Life is life, and you just have to pick your person that you're willing to go through hell and back with. And what does that look like for you? But a lot of the time really is just having to be very honest with yourself in what you want and what you need and vice versa, and being okay with just being wrong. I don't know why girls don't want to be wrong. It's fine. Like, and it's just so funny because I remember the first time just like apologizing to my partner where it was just like, I could have handled that a lot better. I'm sorry. And just like kind of explaining that. And that threw him off because it was just like, huh? like, okay. And but that also, opened the door where it's just like, I have no issues taking accountability. If I can call you out on your stuff, you can call me out on mine, as long as we're doing it respectfully and we're listening to each other and making sure that we're changing that behavior so we can come together as a union and stronger. um then it shouldn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, that's your partner. Like, it's okay to be wrong. I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to say things wrong, but being able to acknowledge that and just saying sorry. And I think that like having that experience kind of threw me off a little bit, because I was just like, oh my God, like, that's so true. Because if you go through social media, you have all these videos of the guys just saying, oh, she could never be wrong. Can't tell her nothing. Just leave it a go. Don't get her started. You know what I mean? Like, why are we like, why is that behavior acceptable, but when a guy does it, it's not? You know what I mean? It has to, there at some point there has to be somehow we can meet in the middle and figure this out, because it's just, it's not aligning at all, where it's just like, no, if you need him to take accountability, you need to take accountability. If you want him to show up in this light, you need to show up in this light. But you also can't tell him, you need to respect me, these are my boundaries, and this, that, and the third. And here you are disrespecting him, putting your hands on him, or doing the most. And it's just like, that's not, you're not modeling the behavior you just said you want. You're doing the complete opposite of that.
Ali, thank you very much for being like super honest. Like I'm also shocked. Yeah, this is like to be honest. Wait, I'm not being mean. Like I've been with a friend a lot of you, but I have never heard the word sorry from the girl. But thank you very much for being honest. But like, if you are really looking for like good bonding, good partner, you need to accept the reality. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for explaining both side, girl side, and everything. This is so great. I think this conversation is very good for me because now I reflect a lot of me and the people around me. So I think
Mm-hmm.
this will help me to be a good partner and attract the good partner and find the good partner.
Yes.
Thank you for explaining a lot of things. But before that, there is one question I want to ask, and a lot of my friend also told me to ask.
Okay.
What a boy should do because you talk about the emotional, when the girl is emotional and start crying, boy are like, for the boy just like the earthquake. Boys don't know what to
They're
do,
so
what they're
awkward. They're
supposed to
just
do.
like, ah.
Yeah, because at this moment boys feel like, wait, what mistake happened? I don't know. We are like the earthquake happened. We don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
So what a boy should do when girls is emotional and start crying?
And comfort. It's as simple as holding her, rubbing her back. Hey, everything's going to be okay. In that moment, she's not going to want to talk, depending. A lot of the time, at least in that sense, I would speak for myself. I don't want to talk in that moment. I'm too emotional and I can't navigate what is happening in that moment because I am so overwhelmed with emotion. So, yeah, just hug me, hold me, tell me everything's going to be okay. And when I finally calm down and I'm ready to have a conversation, be ready to receive me and have the patience to just like listen and be present in that conversation. Like, engage with me. Do not do not, just be on your phone or one word answer me. Like, literally talk to me, please, because obviously you can see I'm not in the right headspace. So let's help me get out of that. You know what I mean? And I think guys are just so awkward that in those moments it's just like, okay, that was awkward. I'm just not gonna cry in front of you again. And that happens like a lot of the time. I think just like guys are just be okay with just giving them a hug. Just like, hey, are you okay? Do you want to talk about it? And if they don't want to talk about it, what do you need in the moment? It's as simple as that. What do you need from me in this moment? How can I show up for you right now? Those words, as you say those words, and she'll tell you exactly what she needs in that moment. And do exactly that. Do not do nothing. Do not do more than what she's saying. If she's just saying, I just need you to hold me, then just do that. Guys just want to, okay, you said this, but I'm going to do this. And it's like, I just told you this is what I need. Why ask me the question if you're not going to listen to me? And I think that's a lot of the problem, majority of the time when that happens.
Okay, so I have another a little gray part. Like, okay, so
Mm-hmm.
this when someone is like girlfriend boyfriend, when they are like, when someone is just being like becoming the friend, at that time I think even the hugging is not that much appropriate. it is not also that much easy. At that time, what does the boy can do? Like for example, if I'm in like very first week of being someone together, at that time we are not like 100% sure we are dating. So at that time, you cannot hug the people. At that time, what can a boy do?
Well, you already built a relationship at that point. So, like, you're already comfortable enough to tell her or him, I'm not okay right now. Like, I'm going through a lot. And majority of the times, like, is everything okay? Do you want to talk about it? That kind of always kind of
Okay,
starts
okay,
off
okay.
like the conversation. Um, and then, and again, it's just based off you. Like, are you comfortable with sharing and saying, like, what is happening in that moment? If they're willing to give you the space to have that conversation, and they'll tell you what they need in that moment. A lot of the times I feel like we dissociate in conversations instead of just saying, I'm sorry, I missed what you said. Can you repeat that? We just assume or try to figure out what was said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then it's just like, I think I kind of get it. So let me pick up here because this is the only part I heard. And then you missed everything else. And probably what you've missed, they had already said what they need in that moment. And instead of doing a follow up of like, I'm so sorry, I blanked out for a moment, did not catch that. Can you repeat it? We just wing it, and that's not the best thing to do. Especially when you know someone's not in a great mental space. I think in those moments you just have to be very honest with yourself if you want to help somebody in a crisis in that sense, and just say, do I have the emotional capacity to have this conversation and show up for my friend or my partner right now? If not, then just saying, hey, I know you're having a hard time. I am not, in the right headspace to have this conversation with you right now. Can we put this on pause and come together and have this conversation later? And just being honest with where you're at. If you are burnt out and you're not doing okay, and you're not in the right headspace, do not spread yourself thin to try to take on something else, because now you are adding more to your plate, because you don't know what your friend or your partner is going to disclose in that moment of what they're going through. So just being a little bit mindful of just kind of where you're at so you can show up your best authentic self for them, and also give them the time to continue to process what they need to process, because sometimes they're not going to want to talk in the moment. They're going to tell you they're perfectly fine. And other times they're just like, I'll talk to you later. So then you have a couple of hours or however is or whatever is later to kind of mentally prepare for that conversation. It's just about, actively listening and asking the questions, like, and just be okay with asking the question of, what do you need from me right now? Or can I give you a hug? Is it appropriate if I give you a hug right now if we're talking about a friend? Um, and just, yeah, like, for me, like, you also got to think about culture. Like, I'm Puerto Rican, so like our culture, we're very like, come here, let me give you a hug, and just trying to comfort you so quickly. So I had to learn, like, not everyone likes that. So I had to take a step back and just say, like, is it okay if I give you a hug right now? What can I do right now to help to support you? And just asking those simple questions can go such a long way.
Yeah, Arlene, thank you very much. I think this is the perfect note to end the podcast. Thank you very much. I think this is not just a podcast, this is a life lesson that I think it is very important for me. And I'm sure this will give a very clear roadmap, a very clarity inside him and herself. This is for the everyone, that what we should expect from ourselves and from the other, what are the things where we are doing mistake. Because from this podcast, I think I saw myself, I mirror a lot of time myself, that oh, this is the things I supposed to do and I supposed not to do. So thank you very much, this was great conversation, this was great learning conversation. Thank you very much for coming to the podcast, it was
Thank you for
pleasure having
having
you.
me. Thank you. This was great. I hope the message gets received well.
Thank you.